thank you for the introduction too. Although what I'm going to speak about doesn't have to do with Robocop per se. It has to do with robots which are friendly robots, which can actually start having relations with humans, which can be long-lasting too in many respects. So let me start by asking you to imagine a world where robots are part of our everyday life, where we have conversations with robots using spoken language, where robots help us solve problems and carry out tasks, where they become valuable team members as well as friends in a harmonious relation with humans. And also imagine a world in which the minds of such robots are not only created in the big technological centers of the world, but even in an ancient oasis city in the middle of the Arabian Desert, such as AlAin. And that by doing so, we're able to educate our students not only in technology, but also in team working and in getting to understand much more about us humans too and our societies. That has been my quest in the last years. And it seems to have given quite some fruit. A prime example of this is the world's first Arabic-speaking humanoid robot, Ibn Sina. And let's have a look at what the BBC has to say about that.
Philosopher renowned for his early scientific discoveries. But unlike his older counterpart, this Ibn Sina is altogether more high-tech. As well as being fluent in English and Arabic, he can hold a conversation with humans. He looks for information about us on the internet and uses that to chat with us. He'll also remember it for the next time you meet. But this lab isn't in Japan, China, or the United States. It's in AlAin, just an hour's drive from the UAE capital, Abu Dhabi. It's in AlAin, just an hour's drive from the UAE capital, Abu Dhabi.
It is in AlAin. So, how will the world be in 50 years from now? The ecology of the world, if you want the set of entities and relations that inhabit our Earth, is constantly changing. Originally, the Earth was filled with inanimate matter, with a desert, with a sea, stones, mountains, and then life came into the picture. We had plants, insects, animals, all the way to humans. And with humans, there was quite a big change. To start with, we got a new category of objects, man-made objects, houses, tools. Tools, however, required constant human control. They couldn't operate on their own. And it wasn't until many, many years later that yet a new category of objects appeared, machines, which in contrast to tools, didn't require a human in order to operate them. They could continue going on autonomously. However, the first machines weren't really able to be called intelligent in any way, right? So they had a very limited repertoire of movement. They couldn't really sense the world adequately. They couldn't communicate with us in a natural manner. And of course, they didn't seem to be neither thinking nor learning. And then came computers. And with computers, there was quite a big change in the landscape. So the first machines that started to exhibit, if you want, signs of intelligence started to appear. For example, imagine yourself interacting with a website, having a dialogue with it. Or think about yourself talking to an automated answering machine, to an ATM. Or think about yourself playing a computer game in which your actions are actually responded to in a pretty interesting way from the machine. How much have these things changed our life? Well, just think to yourselves. In the last week, how much time have you spent interacting with another human face to face? And exactly that, how much time have you spent interacting with another human through a machine, be it a cell phone, be it Twitter, be it email, or a chat room? And even more so, how much time have you spent interacting with a human, neither directly nor indirectly, but interacting with a machine? The average American is spending 2 hours of his day online, and a very big part of this time is actually interactions with machines, not with humans, either directly or indirectly. And then came intelligent robots. And intelligent robots are quite different than other machines. To start with, they have a body. Number two, they sense the world not through a keyboard on which a human needs to be standing and feeding them, but through their own eyes and ears, through cameras and sensors. Number three, they can actually act upon the world, again, not only through a screen on which, again, a human should be interpreting what they're saying, but through their own hands. They can move around objects, they can have physical mobility. And this is quite a big change. And with them, new opportunities have started to arise. To start with, we start experiencing the first machines that can communicate with us naturally. And apart from that, we start experiencing the first machines which appear to be thinking or learning, in a sense. I always wanted to build robots since I was very, very young. My favorite childhood hero was Gyro-Gearloose, that you see up here, the ingenious inventor from Mickey Mouse. And Gyro's best friend, as well as best invention, was the little helper, the small robotic light bulb that you see on his head, that used to go everywhere with him and used to help him with whatever he did. And so time passed, and some years later, here I am at MIT trying to build my own little helper. This is Replay, the conversational helping hand robot. And when starting to design the mind of such a machine, one of the first things that one needs to think about is what aspect of human-robot interaction do you want to concentrate upon? Because there are so many things that you can work on. And what I decided to do was to concentrate on sharing, and more specifically, on being able to have a machine and a human share awareness of a common physical environment and share a language which enables them to communicate about it. And this was Replay. It's quite an interesting robot. It's just a simple arm. It has two cameras up there on his mouth, if you want. It has a touch sensor, so it can understand whether it's touching an object or not. And apart from that, through
Where is the red one? At the top. Look at the center.
Through the software mind that I created for him, he had the ability to sense the world, to detect objects, hands, and faces, and to answer questions about the current state of the world, to give around objects, to imagine things that it hasn't seen and expect to see them, and also to remember things from the past and answer questions about them. So let's have a look at him in action.
Where is the red one?
At the top.
Look at the center.
Okay.
Where is the red one?
Most probably at the top.
So the red object is not visible, but the robot still remembers where it was, so it's able to answer questions about it. This is what the robot
What
sees
color are the objects?
on the upper
One
right-hand
is red
corner.
and the other is green.
Imagine a blue object on the left.
Okay.
So here he's asked to imagine a blue object on the left. The left region is not visible, and again, it doesn't know exactly how big it is.
Where is the blue one?
Most probably at the left.
But still, it can talk about it, and it's
How big
expecting
is
to
the
see
blue one?
something that matches the description.
I have no idea.
Look at the left.
Okay.
Well, it was actually correct, so
How big is
now
the
it
blue
knows
one?
how big the blue object was.
Small.
How big was the blue one when your head started moving?
I have no idea.
So the robot can also remember a set of events from the past, and you can refer to them.
Where was the red one when the green one appeared?
Most probably at the top, but maybe not.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And it's also quite interesting to notice in what you saw that the meanings of the words that we use to communicate with a robot, like red and small, or pick up and put down, are within this framework learnable through examples. So pretty much we're playing with trying to get the robot to learn in a similar way that the child is actually learning. So we're not hard coding what red means for it. And then, having gotten my PhD from MIT, I decided to fly over the Atlantic and Europe and land in the United Arab Emirates. And more specifically, land at UAE in AlAin and try to build the first interactive robotics lab in the region, and my main purpose was to be able to spread, if you want, interactive robotics and AI in the Gulf and beyond. And it was quite an endeavor in many respects. So I had to do pretty much everything. I had to fundraise, I had to do project management, I had to recruit, I had to do public relations, I had to work through the bureaucracies of the place. But most importantly, I actually had to inspire and educate our students, and in the end, this proved to be extremely fruitful, as you will see. So here we are in AlAin, and within less than 1 year, the lab was actually operational, and our first project started. And the first projects that we started working upon had to do with quite a difficult problem when it comes to human-robot interaction. It's the problem of which is quite simple to describe. So once you have humans and robots interacting with one another, in the beginning it's a very, very exciting thing. Everybody loves it, it's new, there's a novelty effect. But then if this happens for a second day, for a third day, for a week, for a month, people start to get bored. And this has been experimentally, if you want, also verified in quite a number of cases. And there's a big question that comes with it. What can we do in order to revert it? So what is missing in there? Why are we talking with these things and then getting bored so easily? And the answer that we tried to give to this question was the following. Again, it had to do with sharing. So the basic idea was to be able to create robots which have shared memories with people. So they can remember the previous times meeting with them, and they can build this pool of shared memories in order to relate to them. And apart from shared memories, to have robots that belong to a social network and know who is a friend with whom. So whenever they meet with somebody, they can start talking about common friends. They can start gossiping, if you want. And this is what we ended up creating. We made a proposal to Microsoft External Research in Seattle. We got award funding from Microsoft, and we're actually the only team outside the Americas to get funding for such a thing. And Project Facebook was born. And here you're going to see robots that recognize faces, remember previous meetings, know friendships, and also read and write to Facebook in order to get extra information to make their dialogues more interesting. Let's see them in practice.
Welcome to the Interactive Robots and Media Laboratory of the College of Information Technology. Are you a 2-town camp? Lady 2-town camp. Are you doing well today?
Yes.
Well, let me tell you some updated news from the world of technology. The games industry has condemned a government effort which suggests children who play computer games die early. Have you heard about this?
No.
That's great. Great. I see your latest stats on Facebook. It is working hard. Hey, did you know that a friend for those two has posted new food in the food of the moon?
No.
I am sending you an inbox message about this. One of our common friends, Hannah's Julie, is gone. Please send a message to our friend.
And here you see the robot actually working as an intermediary between an online person and a physically present
we
person.
talked this morning, John, I had asked you about are you doing
Here are the
well
physical
today?
memories.
And you were doing well, and I talked a little about Shandon the tech. Anyway, it was nice speaking to you. Goodbye for now.
I know it looks very, very funny, but it's quite interesting when you experience it. Actually, even more so when you experience it through a wider group of people. So what's happening here at a higher level, if you want, of observation from what you're seeing, is that we have a machine which is changing the information diffusion within the social network by giving news around, if you want, and at the same time, which has the ability to get people to connect with one another by introducing them, getting them to speak, and so on. And it's quite interesting. There was a whole range of possibilities that came out of this, or actually published. And then after FaceBots came our major project, Ibn Sina, the Arabic-speaking humanoid that you saw, which had quite a different purpose than FaceBots. Here our purpose was to create some kind of a museum robot, or a robot that could take part in an interactive theater performance, or a robot that could be a shopping mall robot. And again, the main aspects of architecture for human-robot interaction over here had to do with sharing, but a different kind of sharing in this case. You need to be able to share a life story, and we also played with being able to share emotions. So being able to express emotions in the face of the robot, and also being able to recognize humans' emotions during the dialogue. So let's have a look at the robot.
في كلية تقنية المعلومات بجامعة الإمارات العربية المتحدة.
So you can see his face, he has something like 29 motors cramped in there. So he can make all of these very subtle expressions.
السلام عليكم.
Then he can have dialogues with people. He can recognize Arabic and answer a number of simple questions.
خشمة. كيف حالك؟ بخير؟
الحمد لله وأنت؟
بخير. ما هو اسمك؟
اسمي هو حسين عبد الحسن علي حسين. حزين سادس.
Here's an example of facial expressions. Sadness.
التصديق disbelief.
This is disbelief.
متحمس excited.
And excitement. And we also played with technologies for getting to recognize human emotions from the other side, so then you can have dialogue that contains not only a verbal component, but an affective component too, which is extremely important when it comes to education and when it comes to persuasion, actually, in practice, as the results show. So Ibn Sina has gone to shopping malls, as you will see. Ibn Sina has gone to exhibitions around the world, has spoken with like 3,000 people in total. You're going to see some examples of that. However, given how he is right now, and given the current state of artificial intelligence, he cannot really answer any possible question. And of course, he cannot respond appropriately in any possible situation. So for this reason, we tried to find a way out so that we can actually get to deploy him 24/7 in real applications. And we started playing with the idea of teleoperation and the idea of telepresence, but complementary to the robot working on its own. So what's a basic idea in telepresence? The basic idea is that you have a remote human somewhere far away from the robot, and then you get to sense the body movements of the human, hand movements, facial expressions, and so on. You copy these in real time on the body of the robot, and at the same time, you get what the robot sees and what the robot hears and transfer it to the human himself. So effectively, you get somebody to feel as if he's inhabiting a different body, which is a robotic body far away, right? So let's have a look at how we did that. We started playing with single arm teleoperation. So here you see the right hand of the human is being copied by the robot. And the other hand is opening and closing the gripper. Then we did two-arm teleoperation on Ibn Sina. And then we did the full body thing. So here's the robot in one room. Here's the operator in another room. He can see the world through this head-mounted display, which is fed by the video from the eyes of the robot.
How are you? Good. Give me your hand. So, you look nice today. Do you see anybody else around here waiting for you? No. Have a look.
You can see the delay in the movement of the head.
Have a look around. Somebody came for you.
Oh, my friend.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaykum assalam.
And what you're seeing over here was actually 4 o'clock in the morning before a demo the next day. So these students of mine had a senior project and they had to present. And everything was working except from the copying of the facial expressions and stuff like that. So they had to work. And suddenly at 4 o'clock, everything was okay. And this is when the video came. So teleoperation and telepresence is very useful because this means you can have like 10 robots in shopping malls and you can have one operator far away for them. And he only intervenes in the moments when he needs to intervene. So this means you don't need to commute. It's very environmentally friendly. The operator can be in a different and nice place. And apart from that, you also get interesting data about the responses of the human, which you can later use to make the robot more intelligent, because you know what a human has done in his position. So let's have a look. We also played with other ways to control the robot. So we did a demo for actually reading some basic categories of thought through electroencephalography through a technique that's called BCI. And we actually did this across 3,000 miles. It was a public demo in Europe, controlling the robot here in the Emirates. We also played with connecting virtual worlds and physical worlds and getting people to control avatars in virtual worlds and interact with robots and humans on a physical stage. Ibn Sina was featured on TV of more than 30 countries. Here you can see France, Dubai 1, where he appeared live, and the Netherlands. And apart from that, it went to many shopping malls and exhibitions, as I told you, and it was the first robot to fly on Emirates Airlines as a passenger in order to go to Saudi Arabia, where he was invited by the Minister of Education of Saudi. And the minister was quite delighted, and he sent us a letter of thanks for the achievements of the Emirates. So in the lab, we also had more than 30 Emirati students actively take part in the projects, apart from the ones that were in the lab as part of their classes. And many of them are now doing graduate studies all over the world. And it seems to be, in many respects, quite fruitful. I mean, our students really enjoy playing with robots and really enjoy getting to apply everything that they learn about programming, about artificial intelligence, about computer vision, language technologies on such a platform. And they also learn how to work in teams, which is quite important. Because in order to get such a product done, you cannot do it on your own. You need people with different specialties coming together. Then there are many other things that happen in the lab. For example, we won a Best Oil Pipe Inspection Robot Design Award from Schlumberger over there. Then we had 2 international summer schools, which lasted for 1 month each, on which we had something like 15 students come over from quite prestigious places. We had people come from Cambridge, from MIT, and sit along our students in order to carry out mini projects. And apart from that, I was also part of the 5-person team that was sent from ADEC to Korea in order to bring the World Robotics Olympiad to the Emirates, which is happening in 2011. And WRO is a very interesting event. It's robotics for kids. We're talking about robotics for high school kids, even primary school kids. And it's really amazing to see what these kids can do. Thank you. So I hope that through the examples of the robots that I've shown you, through Replay, the conversational helping hand, through the Facebot's friends, and through Ibn Sina, you have gotten a better glimpse of some possibilities when it comes to the future of robotics and the future of, if you want, human-robot relations. And I also hope that you have sort of understood how important the concept of sharing in different ways is in order to be able to reach harmonious human-robot relations. Also, I think that it's quite clear after the experience that we had that AlAin can be a very, very fertile oasis when it comes to the achievements of our students, if only we inspire them in the right way and we give them the right tools. Apart from that, what remains now is a big question of how each one of us can actually contribute in his own way in order to achieve this desired future. To start with, I would really love to have your own feedback regarding what you saw and how you would like things to be, and also to start some kind of a discussion about robotics in the Emirates and the world as a whole, and the possible futures it can bring to us. So for that reason, I invite you to befriend Ibn Sina on Facebook and to give us your opinion. Apart from that, more practically, although AlAin is the base of the oldest and biggest and probably the only true university in the Emirates in terms of having all faculties, what we need to do is to find ways so that our students, when they graduate, they can continue doing something creative and fun. So we have so many students coming from intelligence systems, networking, other disciplines, and so on. And although quite a number of them actually join the workforce and really help and produce, not many of them are extremely happy with the level of creativity and innovation in what they're doing. And in that respect, it's quite important to find a way to be able to create an entrepreneurial infrastructure for supporting startups. We have a lot of people, teams of 4 or 5 students that can really make it, but they have no way to convince their parents and to actually get it done, right? So it's very, very important. And last but not least, looking more generally, not only in terms of AlAin, but in terms of the Emirates, I also think it's quite important for the United Arab Emirates to look beyond the great achievements that it has done until now. I mean, building the tallest tower in the world is a very important thing. However, it's time to start thinking about equally high achievements when it comes to the intellectual, the scientific, and the humanitarian spheres. And finally, in conclusion, I will ask you again to just imagine the world when robots are going to be having everyday interactions with us. And just imagine the world when the children that you see right now who are playing with robots or even competing internationally actually grow older. The sky is only the limit, and even beyond the sky if you want. The only thing that we need to do is to be able to get them the right environment in order to make whatever they have in them grow to fruition. And who knows, maybe a day will soon come that robots become among the most caring and loving members of our family. You just need to dream and keep your inspiration high to make your dreams come true.